The year is 1783. Smoke rises from the battlefield, where American forces lie in disarray. General George Washington, his face lined with the burden of defeat, stands silently as British troops, their victory secure, parade through the streets. The once hopeful spirit of revolution and the dream of independence are extinguished. As the British flag is raised over Philadelphia, a heavy silence falls, a silence that echoes the end of the American Revolution. History remembers America's Revolutionary War as the birth of a nation, a dramatic tale of underdogs defying an empire and forging freedom against overwhelming odds. But what if history had taken a different turn? What if America had lost? What if the dream of independence had been extinguished before it could ignite? Let's step into that alternate reality. Picture the year 1783. In our reality, the Treaty of Paris was signed, and the United States of America was officially recognized as an independent nation. But in this alternate timeline, imagine the sounds of muffled drums accompanying the heavy footsteps of weary soldiers as British forces, with their formidable navy and vast resources, managed to suppress the colonial rebellion. The air is thick with the sharp scent of damp gunpowder. George Washington's Continental Army is ultimately defeated, and the vision of independence crumbles. The 13 colonies remain firmly under British rule, setting the world on an entirely different trajectory. First, consider the political impact. The ideals of liberty, self-rule, and democracy that spread across the globe after America's victory would not have ignited with the same intensity. The United States inspired revolutions, notably in France and Haiti, serving as a catalyst for dramatic political shifts. Without America as a beacon, the French Revolution might have taken a different course or even been delayed. However, the fiscal crisis and social unrest in France still hinted at an inevitable upheaval. In Haiti, the absence of American independence might have weakened revolutionary resolve. Yet, the brutality of colonial rule suggests that a path to rebellion remained a likely option. The global spread of democratic ideals would have slowed, giving monarchies and empires more time to tighten their hold. Culturally and socially, the colonies would have continued to evolve under British influence. The promise of a land founded on freedom of speech and self-governance would be subdued. Instead, the colonies might have become a version of Greater Britain across the Atlantic. Cities like New York, Boston, and Philadelphia could have resembled extensions of London, vibrant centers of trade and power under the Union Jack. However, the distinctly American identity, the fierce individualism, frontier spirit, and cultural innovation born of independence would likely never have flourished. Yet, the vast and varied geography of North America might still have played a role in nudging colonial society toward a distinct identity. The immense distances and challenging terrains would foster a sense of independence and resilience. Furthermore, resource-rich frontiers could have enticed settlers to push boundaries and explore, cultivating a pioneering spirit unique to this new land despite British control. Economically, the British Empire would have reaped significant rewards. The colonies, already a crucial source of resources and trade, would continue to fuel Britain's wealth and global dominance. Without the disruption of the Revolution, the Industrial Revolution might have continued to accelerate in Britain, giving it an even greater advantage. For instance, by 1800, Britain's GDP share of the world's total could have increased significantly, strengthening its economic hegemony. Meanwhile, the colonies themselves would likely have prospered, but always under the shadow of British taxation and control. A comparative figure illustrates this. The combined GDP of the American colonies, restrained from independent growth, might have constituted only a fraction of their potential, failing to match the robust expansion seen post-independence. The emergence of a self-sustaining economic powerhouse like the modern United States would have been unimaginable. As for territorial expansion, without independence, westward movement across North America might have proceeded more slowly and cautiously. The British could have enforced treaties with Native American nations more rigorously, at least initially, to avoid expensive wars. However, this scenario could have faced additional constraints. For instance, rival European powers, such as Spain in the south and France in the north, could have further complicated and slowed down British policies. Furthermore, strong indigenous alliances, protective of their territories and culture, might have exerted significant pressure on British expansion efforts. The Louisiana Purchase? That likely would never have occurred, since it was a transaction between America and France. The entire makeup of North America could be unrecognizable today. British Canada and British America might have eventually merged into a vast dominion stretching from coast to coast, with no United States at all. And what of slavery? The British Empire abolished slavery in 1833, nearly a century before the U.S. Civil War. If the colonies had stayed under British rule, slavery in America might have ended much earlier, sparing generations from suffering. Alternatively, tensions between the colonies and the Crown could have ignited new rebellions not for independence, but over social and economic disputes. Whether America would have eventually sought freedom in some other form remains one of history's enduring what-ifs. Finally, consider the World Wars. Without an independent United States, World War I and World War II would have played out very differently. The U.S. was pivotal in both conflicts. In World War I, America's industrial capacity and fresh troops came at a crucial time, tipping the scales in favor of the Allies. During World War II, the U.S. provided not only numerical superiority, but also logistical support, including the critical Lend-Lease aid to Britain and the Soviet Union. Moreover, the U.S. entry into the war opened new fronts, stretching the Axis powers to their limits. If America had never emerged as a superpower, Britain would have faced Germany and, later, Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan, mainly on its own. Without these immense resources and manpower, the Allies might have lost. The 20th century could have been shaped by fascist or imperial powers, fundamentally altering the global landscape. So what would a world without an independent United States really mean? Perhaps fewer democracies. Perhaps an earlier end to slavery. Perhaps no American superpower to shape global conflicts, technology, or culture. The internet, Hollywood, and space exploration, these icons might never have existed as we know them today. Instead, the British Empire could have remained the dominant force well into the modern era. Consider an artist like James Barrow, whose vibrant expressions of American independence find no audience. His canvases remain left blank as the cultural identity of a nation never takes form. Or consider a scientist like Clara Hayes, whose groundbreaking research into electricity would never have been realized without the pioneering spirit of a free United States to support her. Yet history always adapts. If America had not risen, another nation might have eventually filled that void, but the world would be profoundly different. This alternate history isn't just a what if, it's a reminder of how fragile history's turning points truly are. A handful of different decisions or battles, and the story of freedom, democracy, and power might have been written in another language. The American Revolution's victory was far from inevitable, it was one of history's greatest gambles. In another timeline, it's a gamble that was lost. Thank you for exploring this alternate history with us. If you enjoyed diving into this what-if scenario, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us for more journeys into the past that never was. Because sometimes, the most fascinating history is the one that never happened.